When it comes to the number of manufacturing ERP systems in the market, there's no limit. This list is going to help you understand different options for manufacturing ERP systems. So let's dive in. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with ERP selection, business process re-engineering, as well as ERP implementation. On that note, let's get into today's topic, which is going to be the top 10 manufacturing ERP systems in 2023. To compile this list, we consider several different variables, and that is going to be the overall market share of the ERP publisher. The other factors include things such as the product share among all of the ERP publisher, whether the product is really sold in the manufacturing verticals. Then we look at the documentation. We look at how cloud native the solution is going to be, how complete the functionality is, how many add-ons or the customization is the solution going to require. So we look at all of these factors and we compile this list. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is Acumatica. In 2022, Acumatica was at number 10, so there is no change as such in the ranking. Just a quick brief on Acumatica. Acumatica targets manufacturing companies that are going to be small and medium size, but for the most part, these companies are going to be in the revenue range of anywhere from $10 million to roughly $100 million. Acumatica is a very unique product because it has the manufacturing functionality, but it can also combine several other functionality as part of the same product. So it's going to be very diverse, and the businesses that are going to be diverse, if they are looking for a manufacturing software, Acumatica is going to be a great fit. Some of the strength for Acumatica is the overall B2B and B2C functionality that is inbuilt, and the kind of integrations are available with Acumatica. So the data model is very B2B friendly. Other ERP systems might struggle with the B2B data model, which is in general very complex. For example, you have things such as buying groups. When you are going to have the parent-child hierarchy of the customer, typically that hierarchy is not built in a lot of different ERP systems. So Acumatica can support very complex B2B scenarios, whether you talk about buying groups, whether you talk about pricing and discount. That's where Acumatica really shines. The other strength is really the diverse capabilities of Acumatica to cover different business model in the same product. That's a huge strength. The final strength is going to be the cloud native UI, as well as the experience and the consumption-based pricing and the flexible pricing options that Acumatica is able to offer. Now, the weaknesses for Acumatica is going to be the global capabilities. Acumatica is predominantly a North American solution. There are localization available through partners in different regions through their OEM arrangements, but then you need to buy these localizations from a partner. And for the most part, this list looks at the OEM provided functionality. So that's why the global capabilities, if you are a global company, let's say you have a subsidiary in the US as well as in Japan, you might struggle with Acumatica. It's not really designed for the global functionality. But let's say if you have just one entity or a couple of entities in the US or Canada, that's where Acumatica is going to shine. The other problems with Acumatica is going to be when you get into these complex manufacturing scenarios where you are going to have very complex reporting. When on the same work center, maybe you are reporting the labor as well as your machine at a different rate, or maybe you have many different overheads that you need to report. That's where Acumatica may struggle. It has manufacturing functionality, but it's not as deep as your Infor or Apicor. Now, when you are going to get into these regulated industries or the complex manufacturing, you might require several different add-ons, and these are going to be third-party add-ons. For example, MES, quality, as well as PLM. All these are going to be third-party add-ons with Acumatica. Having said that, Acumatica is still a very strong manufacturing solution, and that's why it ranks at number 10 on our list. Number 9 on our list is the solution called Plex. Last year, we had NetSuite at number 9. NetSuite is no longer part of this list because NetSuite struggles with manufacturing. The bill of materials that NetSuite has, they are not as strong as with manufacturing solution. They are really designed for the assembly-centric manufacturing, which is not necessarily manufacturing. And if you want to utilize NetSuite for manufacturing, then you have to use very thick partner add-ons. And that's why NetSuite is not part of this list. Now, Plex is a very interesting solution. The way Plex targets automotive ecosystems, for the most part, Plex started as more of the ERP system for the Toyota ecosystem. They had the last mile functionality, whether you talk about quality, compliance, planning, all of that was part of Plex. Plex is also unique because it was the MES first ERP system. So MES, when you are going to be hosting your scheduling quality as part of your MES solution, that's where Plex used to shine. But then these processes are not going to be part of your ERP system. So it's a very different architecture, the way Plex approaches this. And the biggest advantage of Plex is going to be that if you are going to be very busy on shop floor, or if you are too big into Industry 4.0, that's where Plex is going to be really handy. But Plex is a very limited solution overall from the manufacturing perspective. It does not have those mixed mode manufacturing capabilities, the ones that you are going to find with the other manufacturing solutions such as Infor, Epicor. The other strength for Plex is going to be it is very cloud native solution. It started as cloud native, and so it's still very cloud native experience. Now the weaknesses for Plex is going to be the limited core ERP functionality. While it is really strong in the MES capabilities, the ERP capabilities are really afterthought. The mixed mode manufacturing capabilities are going to be extremely limited as well. So if you are operating, let's say, in the automotive vertical, then probably it's going to be okay. But let's say if you have very diverse business model, even inside manufacturing, Plex might not be able to support all of different manufacturing types. For example, let's say if you talk about project-based manufacturing or some of the hybrid manufacturing scenarios, the Plex might not be as suitable for that. The other weaknesses for Plex is going to be the limited consulting base as well as the ecosystem, and the install base is very limited as well at this point of time. Having said that, Plex is still a very strong manufacturing solution, and that's why it ranks at number 9 on our list. Now, number 8 on our list is going to be Sage X3. In 2022, we had Plex at number 8. Sage X3 targets the process manufacturing centric industries, especially in the upper mid-market. The strength for Sage X3 is going to be that last mile functionality for process manufacturing as well as agriculture. The other strength for Sage X3 is going to be it's really designed for those audit-ready industries, publicly traded organizations, or slightly more financially regulated organizations, where the companies need to comply with the audit-centric functionality, or maybe they have very complex Sarbanes-Oxley requirements. That's where Sage X3 is going to shine overall with respect to its finance functionality. And then the limitations for Sage X3 is going to be, it's not really the discrete manufacturing solution. So any sort of functionality or the add-ons or the integrations that you are going to require, Sage X3 is not going to have that. Sage X3 could also be very big solution for smaller companies. So that could be a minus for Sage X3 as well. And then overall, the ecosystem is not as great for the discrete manufacturing, but for the process manufacturing, it's going to have really deep consulting depth for the pharma as well as agriculture verticals. Having said that, Sage X3 is still a very strong manufacturing solution, and that's why it ranks at number 8 on our list. Now, number 7 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. In 2022, we had Sage X3 at number 7. So there's a little change there. Oracle Cloud ERP is the large solution from Oracle. It targets very large organizations. These organizations that are going to have more than $1 billion in revenue. That's where Oracle Cloud ERP fits in. For the most part, the way the data model is designed and the core target market for Oracle, these are going to be slightly more service-centric industries. And example of that is going to be your telco, media, financial services, healthcare, public sector. That's where Oracle really shines. Oracle is not as strong in the product-centric industries, but when you talk about those larger organizations, sometimes they are going to be using the ERP as just the financial reporting tool or just as the accounting solution for those purposes, Oracle Cloud ERP could still be a fit. But when you are talking about running the operations, utilizing MRP inside the ERP for very complex manufacturing organizations, Oracle Cloud ERP may not be the best fit for that. So the strength for Oracle Cloud ERP is going to be the robust finance functionality for large global manufacturers. It's really designed for finance, especially when you talk about the organizations that are going to be white collar workers and they require the HCM functionality embedded as part of your ERP. In fact, with Oracle Cloud ERP, the TMS and WMS functionality is going to be inbuilt as part of the same solution. So depending upon the kind of architecture that you are trying to build, if you would like to keep your WMS and TMS processes as part of the same architecture, that may not be suitable for every product organization out there, depending upon their business model. The other strength for Oracle Cloud ERP is going to be it's really proven for very large complex organizations, global organizations, and the ecosystem is very large as well. The weakness for Oracle Cloud ERP will be that limited last mile functionality. It's not necessarily a manufacturing solution, and it could be overwhelming for the smaller manufacturers. Having said that, Oracle Cloud ERP is still a very strong solution for manufacturers, and that's why it ranks at number 7 on our list. Now, number 6 on our list is going to be SAP S/4HANA. Last year, we had SAP S/4HANA at number 6, so there's no change as such. SAP S/4HANA has similar positioning as your Oracle Cloud ERP, but overall, from the data model perspective, SAP S/4HANA has far deeper depth for product-centric industries, and especially for manufacturers, it's going to be super relevant because it can do very deep MRP runs that other solutions might not be able to do, especially because of the power of HANA. So the strength for SAP S/4HANA is going to be, it's really designed for those product-centric companies and the power of HANA that can allow you to do very complex MRP runs for large global and publicly traded organizations. Now, the financial governance and the traceability is very unique with SAP as well. It's really designed for those audit-centric industries, but when you are going to have very deep operations, very deep MRP flows, that's what SAP S/4HANA is really designed for. The weaknesses for SAP S/4HANA is going to be, it's behind in cloud capabilities. So you might not get as deep operational capabilities in cloud. That could be a challenge for companies that are looking for the cloud solution. Now, it's probably going to be too big for the smaller companies just because of the size of the solution and the last mile capabilities. It's going to be a similar problem as your Oracle Cloud ERP, whether you are going to be using a lot of different add-ons or you need to develop this functionality yourself, and the third-party integrations are going to be super limited as well. Having said that, SAP S/4HANA is still a very strong solution for manufacturers, and that's why it ranks at number 6 on our list. Number 5 on our list is going to be Microsoft Dynamics Finance and Operations. And last year, it's the same ranking for Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. There's no change as such. Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O also has very strong product-centric functionality, but it is equally good at service-centric functionality as well. So it's a very unique solution for certain verticals. It has similar architecture as Oracle in terms of embedding those WMS and TMS workflows as part of the core ERP functionality. And then it's going to be really strong with the project management as well. So it's a very unique solution overall for those large companies. One of the strength for Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O is going to be, it's the product-centric solution that is most ahead in the cloud. You are not going to get as deep operational functionality with other larger solutions that we have discussed that you are going to get with Microsoft Dynamics F&O. The other strength for Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O is going to be the best-of-breed software. For example, CRM or field service, they are integrated at the database level using the common data model. The other products that we have on our list, they are primarily acquired software. They integrate at service layer. So the integration is not going to be as seamless. It's not going to be as smooth. And that's where Microsoft is really strong with this database layer integration. As well as the marketplace, they are strong with several different software companies that are as good as your ERP companies. So the quality of development, the quality of documentation is going to be far richer with Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. The limitation for Microsoft Dynamics is going to be the limited MES capabilities. You are probably going to require a third-party MES solution that you can integrate with Microsoft Dynamics. You could probably develop on top of the core Microsoft platform as well, but then you are looking at significant development costs to be able to develop that. It's not really suitable for smaller companies, and the last mile functionalities are going to be limited as with your SAP S/4HANA or Oracle Cloud ERP. Having said that, Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O still a very strong solution, and that's why it ranks at number 5 on our list. Now, number 4 on our list is going to be the solution called QAD. Last year, we had Oracle ERP Cloud. We have downgraded Oracle ERP Cloud a little bit. So QAD is a very unique solution. It takes very supply chain perspective, and similar to how Oracle approaches the WMS and TMS embeddedness as part of the ERP, QAD is going to incorporate a lot of S&OP functionality that typically reside in a separate system with a lot of different ERP systems. So here you are going to get very thick demand planning component. You are going to get the supply chain planning component that is probably going to require a best of breed solution with some of the other solutions. QAD is also very unique in terms of the kind of industries that it targets. So it's going to be automotive, it's going to be food and beverage, and the life sciences, and probably electronics. Any and every industry that is going to be really supply chain heavy, that's where QAD really shines. The last mile functionality, for example, for automotive verticals is going to be one of the strongest with QAD. Now, the weaknesses for QAD is going to be, even though you are going to get cloud native experience overall from the UI, the underlying technology is very clunky. And if you need to customize that from the backend, then you have to face the clunky technology. Most likely you are going to rely on QAD because QAD's ecosystem is very limited as well. You don't have as many consultants in the market at this point of time that can support QAD product. So those are going to be some of the weaknesses. The infrastructure as well is not as mainstream as with some of the other ERP systems. Most of the other ERP systems are going to be deployed on AWS, Azure. But in the case of QAD, they are still deployed on some of the tier 2, tier 3 data centers, and that could be a challenge, especially when you talk about the infrastructure reliability. So those are some of the weaknesses for QAD. Having said that, QAD is still a very strong solution for manufacturers, and that's why it ranks at number 4 on our list. Now, number 3 on our list is going to be Epicor Kinetic. Last year at number 3, it was QAD. So there's a little bit of change there. Epicor Kinetic targets small to medium sized business, especially when you talk about mixed mode manufacturing. And it is going to be really strong for companies that are going to require very complex hybrid manufacturing needs, but the product is not really as complex in general because the BOMs are not as strong as you are going to find with some of the Infor solutions. So when you are going to get into the diverse manufacturing organizations where they require a little bit of engineer to order plus the project manufacturing as well as your make to order, make to stock, that's where Epicor Kinetic really shines. Epicor Kinetic also takes very different perspective from the architecture perspective as well. And that is going to be the way Plex approaches these things. So this is going to be when the companies that are going to be really big on Industry 4.0 architecture, where they are going to be hosting the quality scheduling as part of the MES solution, that's where Epicor is going to really shine. But let's say if you are hosting the quality as part of your ERP layer for your enterprise quality scenario, where all of 3 flavors of quality need to be hosted as part of the same layer, that's where Epicor might struggle a little bit. So the other strength for Epicor Kinetic is going to be that it's going to have the last mile functionality for several different micro verticals in the manufacturing space. And the weakness for Epicor Kinetic is going to be the BOMs and MRP engine is not really designed for very complex manufacturing products. When you are going to be looking at satellites or buses or trucks, that's where if you have too many finished goods and very complex sub-assemblies, that's where Epicor might struggle a little bit. If you have light sub-assemblies, light manufacturing, Epicor Kinetic could be great. May not be the best fit for the enterprise-wide compliance scenarios, as well as if you require the best of breed third-party integrations, Epicor may not be the best fit. Epicor is going to be fit when you require everything from Epicor that's where Epicor can provide a lot of value. But if you are going to be integrating some of the third-party products that you might be utilizing already, let's say you have a favorite PLM or favorite MES, then Epicor may come out to be more expensive just because those integrations are probably not going to be pre-baked. Having said that, Epicor Kinetic is still a very strong solution for manufacturers, and that's why it ranks at number 3 on our list for this year. Now, number 2 on our list is going to be Infor Sightline. Last year, we had Epicor Kinetic at number 2, so there's a little bit of change there. The reason why we have downgraded Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline is because we have discovered that it might not be the best fit for very complex manufacturing products, and these are going to be the products that are going to have the operations running for more than a day. So if the operation finishes on the same day, then Cloud Suite Industrial could be great, but if it does not, then you might run into challenges, you might require customizations. So it's going to be a fit for very fast moving products, not so great fit for the products that are going to have much longer lead time, especially on the shop floor. Now, the strength for Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is going to be from the OEM perspective, it's very, very strong. So for example, if you are building, let's say, the forklifts or the smaller manufacturing products, and you have your field service and you require all of those capabilities as part of the same solution, that's where Infor Cloud Suite Industrial really shines in providing those BOM customizations. When you need to replace a single material across, let's say, 2,000 different BOMs, or you need to replace our operation, all of those manipulations are going to be really easy because it's really designed for that kind of manufacturing. Then if you have very complex costing layers, when you have many different overheads that you have as part of your manufacturing process, that's where Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is really going to shine. The other strength for Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is going to be those field service integration as part of the core ERP. Now, the weaknesses for Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is going to be when you are going to have those diverse business models. For example, let's say if you are manufactured, but you also are D2C, that's where Infor Cloud Suite Industrial might struggle. It's not really designed for the distribution planning. The planning engine is very manufacturing focused. So if you're a pure play manufacturer, that's where Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is really going to shine. The finance module and finance traceability is not as deep as you are going to find with SAP or Sage. You are going to get very deep operational functionality, but not as deep the financial traceability that you will find with your SAP and Sage. The ecosystem and the third-party options are going to be extremely limited as well. Having said that, Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline is a very strong manufacturing product, and that's why it ranks at number 2 on our list. Now, number 1 on our list is going to be Infor LN or M3. Last year, we had Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline at number 1. And this is going to be a tie between these two products. And it's not necessarily a tie. If you look at the target market of LN and M3, they are targeted for very different market. So essentially, even though they are different products, they could be considered as the same product just because of the target market. So that's why it's a tie for these two solutions. The reason why they rank at number 1 is because number 1, they are really designed for very complex manufacturing scenarios. When you are going to have those hybrid manufacturing needs, whether you talk about products with very long lead time or short runs, it doesn't matter. Infor Cloud Suite LN can handle all of that. It's also going to have very deep last mile functionality. For example, let's say if you look at the automotive ecosystem, especially for the Honda ecosystem. So there are patches where Infor Cloud Suite LN can provide last mile functionality. Then the integrations that are going to be available with LN and M3, for example, let's say if you talk about WFM solution, which is going to be your HCM designed for manufacturing centric industries, as well as the supply chain solution that is really designed for those supply chain verticals. So you are going to get all of this best of breed functionality as part of your LN and M3. Now, M3 solution is very unique as well. It's targeted for retail, food and beverage, fashion verticals, and the inventory and the kind of PLM integration that you are going to require, the kind of procurement processes you have with M3 is very, very, very different. And it's probably the only solution that is really strong and can provide the end-to-end integration for companies that are going to be, let's say, the apparel manufacturer as well as retailers. So that's where M3 really shines. Some of the strengths for both of them is going to be they are really market leader in their categories. And then best of breed integration that is available out of the box, and then they can handle very large workloads. They have been proven with up to 3 to 5 billion with a B a dollar organizations. They could be a great replacement for other vanilla solutions such as SAP S/4HANA. Now, the weaknesses for Info Cloud Suite LN and M3 is going to be they might struggle with the diverse businesses, even though they can support many different distribution manufacturing. But when you are going to get into, for example, let's say if a business has the construction division as well, then you might struggle. Then Info LN or M3 may not be the best fit. The UI as well as the experience, even though they are cloud-based, but the experience is going to be very legacy. That increases your training time. The ecosystem as well as the marketplace is going to be super limited as well. So that's it for the list. If you enjoyed this video, we are going to include the link of the article that is going to have detailed analysis. So check that out. Also, if you enjoy this video, we release this on a weekly basis. So make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also, the WBS Rocks podcast is available in the audio format on Google, Spotify, and Apple. So check that out. If you have not checked our digital transformation report for 2023, it covers all of these lists as well as some suggestions in terms of how to be successful with digital transformation initiatives. So make sure you guys download that. On that note, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.